Hey, what's up, guys? This is TBone here. Welcome to the stream, and hope everything is going well for you all. Let's just make sure we get the setup here. This is Tuesday, and we are looking at another event, which is going to be a Light Slayer. And I see right here we got Dal in the chat here. Welcome to the stream. And your impression is that the deck doesn't look good for a Slayer deck, but you think it could be a good guild versus guild deck. Well, that's what we're going to take a look at. That's what we're going to see. This is the second last event for this current season, which is called the Twin Flame season. So again, at the start of the next event, what I will do is I will take a look at all of the cards that have come out, all of the teams, and then I will make a recommendation for which ultimate form you should use your coins for, or if you can't actually form an ultimate form, but you still have coins to use, which card you should go after. So look for that at the end of this event. I will take a look at the starting of the next event, which card you should focus on. All right, so we've got other people coming into the chat here, so welcome here again. Since now, we are all forced to work from home, generally I have more time when the event starts to actually do the stream, so I will be looking at doing this a little bit earlier. It leaves me a little bit more time in the evening so I don't have to rush to put the kids to sleep. So appreciate everybody jumping on here and joining me for this chat. And we've got Noelia, Matthew, Chiamang on Hot Pipe, and Boone CS TikTok fan, and Roy G. Welcome to the stream here. Okay, so let's jump right into the business. First things first, there is this wonderful news. I'm not sure if they've already put it into the feed, but we have our inventory expanded and it's now live. So if you take a look at your cards, if you haven't yet, take a look at your cards right now, you can see that your inventory list now has increased. So I was, sitting at 385 total, and that allowed me to expand up to 1,765. So basically, any investments you've made in the past to expand your inventory is now actually in effect. So you don't have to put more gems into expanding it. So that is really good news. So we don't have to dust our cards anymore. And those of you who are already at maximum, you should be seeing your slots expanded to 4,000. And this also applies to our relics. So now we have 4,000 space for our relics. No more dusting relics. I was actually getting to the point where I could no longer save any of my old ones anymore. And so this is a very welcome change. So that's just the very first thing. And also happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. Hope you guys are having a good time, even though it's less likely that we're heading out celebrating tonight. So, and David Chason, also known as Ivapirius. Yes. Welcome to the stream, and I think everybody so far I've seen has enjoyed this change here. So let's take a look at the cards here, and what I want to do is we're going to take a look and see if it's actually worth investing in. I still have the gems left over from the previous event, and also just from collecting the gems and stuff, I was able to save up to 12,000, so I am able to get to at least tier 4, which is good. Now it is an arcane killer, so your old Hellboy deck is going to be usable here as well. It also has arcane killer bonus, so you can use that if you want to, although it's not a great deck in the first place. So I would sort of say use it cautiously, kind of as a last resort, really, because that's really not a very good and fun deck to use. It's listed as one of my worst ultimate forms, one of the worst teams I can think of besides the Rainbow deck, and so not something that I would recommend. Anyway, so we're taking a look at this deck here, and we'll start with the ultimate form. And once again, this is a little bit slightly different mechanic than what we've seen before, and this one will basically cleanse debuffs, and this one will cleanse 4 debuffs. So a debuff is something like a gem silence, power gem silence, anything that basically gets shown on your hero. So like judgment is one, and flatline even, right? But toxin is another one, but if it heals, then you can't use it because toxin will block it. However, from what I see here, this will increase attack, and it will also give you immunity, and then creates 6 power gem 3s while it's immune. So that's actually very similar to like a K-pop deck that we've seen. So this is going to be weak to might, weaken. So this is going to be so if you get hit by weaken, then this battle skill will not be useful. Anytime you have something that increases attack boost, is going to be susceptible to a weakened spell, so keep an eye out for that. But it seems like a pretty decent it seems like a decent battle skill, but it's interesting because generally in Slayer events, you don't want to go to turn 3. So you can't really take advantage of this battle skill until turn 3 because you're waiting to get hit. And you don't get hit until turn 2. And turn 3 is when you're going to create the light power gem. So you're not really gaining all of your power until the 3rd turn. Now in the Slayer event, this typically is an indication that the deck is going to be slower than others. But if you look at the sort of the other alternatives that people have, if they're looking at like the previous older deck, they're looking at the Hellboy deck, which is also a 3-turn deck. And so unless you're using off affinity, this isn't quite as bad of a disadvantage. Okay, so that's the first thing I want to say. It does have a passive ability, which I don't quite understand. It says that begin the battle by pinching 2 non-green gems into light gems. I don't know why non-green. So like basically saves the green gems and then pinches them into light gems, but I don't understand the mechanic. I don't understand how that works. So we're gonna take a look and see how that even matters, because I don't know what's the difference between pinch and destroy. Like, you know, if basic or convert. I don't know if it's converting them into light gems or if it's destroying them. I don't really know. I don't know what the benefit of this actually is. It seems just really I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's doing anything, so we'll have to see. And we got more people in the chat here. Hey guys, how you doing? I see my name being tagged here a lot, so I'm just gonna say a general hi. Lots of people in the chat right now, so glad to see you guys. Happy Tuesday and happy St. Patrick's Day to you all. Okay, so that was the ultimate form, and now this is the they've changed it up one more time. The Master Collection card is now back on top. If you take a look at the Shiny Collection, that's how you can tell what's the Master Collection. So the Master Collection card is Sanctified Kano. All right, not the ultra rare. This is the Master Collection card, and it is interesting because this is the one that gives you immunity, right? So the Master Collection card gives you immunity, and it will be the one that gives you the power gem creation. So if you have multiple of those cards, you activate them multiple times, then you will have 6 power gem 3s for every copy of the Master Collection card. And also, it has this. This is the one with the passive ability that I don't quite understand, where it pinches non-green gems into light gems. So I need to see it in action. So I need to take a look and see how this works. But this by itself is not as useful until it's turn 3. Okay, and so let's go ahead and take a look at the ultra rare card now. So as we know, the ultra rare card is the one that looks like the support card. And this is the Most Revered Sovereign. And the Most Revered Sovereign has a battle skill called Benediction that will cleanse the 4 debuffs. So this is the cleansing skill that the ultimate form has. And it increases the arcane skill by 250%. So combined with those two, it's 50. So if you have ultra rare card and the ultimate form, it's 500%. But it's actually kind of weaker compared to the previous deck that we've seen, where they actually go all the way up to like 2500, 1250. So they've sort of dialed down on the damage boost compared to previous deck that we've seen this particular season. But it does, it increases by 1% for every 4 arcane. And so if you really think about it, you're looking at generating about 20 intensity every turn if you have the relics. And so that's basically, 5%. So you're looking at 5% gained for every 20 intensity. And so it's still not going to build up very fast. So yes, you're going to have a nice damage boost, but it's going to be less compared to some of the other arcane killer bonus boosts that we've seen. And so overall, it feels like this is going to be a relatively slower deck. Okay, meaning like, you're going to go in, and by the time that you can actually have enough power gems to actually do anything, it's going to be turn 3. Not a good turn 2 deck, not a turn 1 deck. And so in order to really turn it into a turn 1, turn 2 deck, you're going to have to do some deck building, which we're going to have to talk about. And then if we take a look at the support card and the event cards, which we'll take a look here. The event card is Brennan. This is the card that will match the Master Collection card's ability. So this is going to give you a power gem trap. So it has a completely different skill here. It has a power gem trap skill. And while it's active, then it'll spawn power gem once. And well, I guess it's not different. It doesn't give you immunity. It basically gives you a trap. So basically, you still take damage if you just activate this, but when you get attacked, then you'll spawn Power Gem once. That's basically what it means. Okay, so that's the difference between Master Collection card and the event card. Master Collection card gives you immunity. The event card doesn't, but it still gives you Power Gems only when you get hit. We've seen this before, where you get hit and you create a bunch of Power Gems. So this is very capable of filling up the board. Very, very capable of filling up the board, but it has a 4-turn cooldown, so not fast, not slow, kind of slow-ish for a Slayer deck. And again, with the pinching, I swear, they always come up with these new words, and I don't know what the point is because they don't explain what it actually is. So I don't know what pinching is until I see it in action. And then we've also got the support card. I wanted to take a look at the support card at 6 stars, and then we're gonna go ahead and open up a few so that maybe we can go ahead and we can take a look at the cards in action. I don't have to dust any cards this time. If I get them, I can just go right into the battle and try out. So let's go for this. Okay, we're gonna go take a look at the vault content, and we'll see the 6-star support card. It's Aif the Devout. And this card basically creates 4 light gems at the start, so it has a passive ability. This is going to be your gem spawn, and the battle skill will cleanse 2 debuffs. So as a battle skill, this card isn't too bad because it doesn't have any other ability. So this is the card that you can use to dispel any gem silence, power gem silence, toxin, what have you. This is the card, but it only gets rid of 2 of them. It doesn't cleanse everything, so it's semi-useful. It can come in handy in some situations, but you really need to have like 2 or more support cards to make this truly effective. And the 4 light passive creation, I've talked about this before, sounds good, less useful in practice, because as soon as you need to activate your battle skills anyway, these will just get converted to power gems, and so you're not really gaining anything. And so I don't personally like passive non-power gem creations. It's not very useful. So David Chason, doesn't this resemble the main deck? It does, kind of, in a way. It also reminds me of the Fire Kitty deck. It's a trap deck where you get hit and then power gems get spawned. So it's actually more like that ability. So John Casey, the pinching is because it's St. Patrick's Day and it pinches anything but green. That makes sense. But as a deck itself, it's just kind of like, it kind of, not a green deck, and it's a light deck, and, just, yeah. Anyways, let's go and open our packs. Let's take a look and see what we got. So, not a deck that I feel is worth up to tier 4, to be honest with you. If I don't get this deck, I'm not going to be sad about it. I don't feel like I necessarily want to invest too much into this deck just by looking at it. I'm only interested in seeing, like, overall how it looks, but it is no better in terms of speed than the Hellboy deck. The reason why I said the Hellboy deck isn't that great is because it's the same thing. It's super slow. It doesn't have great power gem spawning compared to this one. This one does have really good ones, but it's slow. And there are other decks I think that I can sort of throw in here to help out in terms of like getting the getting the power gems out there. So I could probably use like a couple support cards, and I could probably throw in some generation 3 light decks in there, and I might be able to make something of it. So 2 tiers so far, nothing, and didn't even get my additional relics I typically would get. All right. And yeah, so Mr. Hawkins, I am early today because, as I mentioned in the chat, I am going to be working from home for the next few weeks. And so generally when I'm home, I like to try and do this preview when the event starts. So it gives me a little bit more time, in the evenings. Like I'm usually in a rush in the evenings. I don't want to do it too late. Okay, so 2 tiers so far, 1 silver pull, and not a deck that I really want to go too much into, but I do want to have a relic at least. So I'm gonna go 1 more. We'll go 1 into the relic here. I generally really look forward to light Slayer decks as well. I really like light Slayer decks in general, but it's looking like it's going to be just the relic for me this time. So a little bit of a I'll give you a little bit of a trivia here. So far this season, I've gone through 4 events now, and basically first 3 tiers got nothing. I get nothing the first 3 tiers for the past 4 events now. Previous event, I actually had to go up to tier 5 before I got 1 card, and then I used coins to then invest. And so at this point, I'm going to just stop right here because it's not worth the. I don't. So the event card isn't worth it. There is a chance that I might be able to pull a Master Collection card, but I'm not going to waste my coin on this deck personally. And so I'm going to stop right here. And the reason I say that is because, like, yes, the immunity is good. Yes, you know, the death trap, the trap thing, you know, can give you lots of power gems, but it's not something I enjoy using. I don't enjoy sort of trap decks, just because you have to time it. You also have to always time it. You can only really make it be effective if you get hit. And so it actually is more effective in a commander event than a Slayer event. So I'm going to stop right here. Remember to go and get your Head Start pack. Okay, so this is going to give you that 50 levels. And instead, I'm going to take a look and see if there's any other cards that I would like to play with. So, like, I got the support card, and I think I just got the one. I got the one support card, and I'm going to get another support card, and I'll see if I get lucky or not. I'm not sure if it's really luck or not, because there are other cards in the collection that I kind of want. So let's go back and take a look at the collection first. So you can also notice that I only have 1 out of the 3 collections available here. So if we look in here, coin count wise, I am at 33 coins. So I am expecting to be able to get to 42 by the next event. So I'll at least have 1 more. Now, in terms of the cards he has, so Owen and Drago is the event card from one of my favorite events, the Relentless Scholars. Okay, so this deck is definitely going to see use. I'm definitely going to be using that, and this is going to give you a 10 times damage, basically 10 times Slayer boost. So that's actually going to be decent. Actually, this is the support card. Owen and Drago is the support card. So you can at least have that. This is also from the Hellboy event, Ben Daimyo. This card I never got. So you can get 13 damage, 13 times Slayer output for that. That's interesting because Ben Daimyo wasn't the ultra rare, but it is available. I think that was like another card that you could purchase or something like that. And then Rampaging AUI. So many of you guys have chased after this to go with your Pitless May. To get to forge your ultimate form. Here it is. This is a card that you can use. This also gives you an immunity as well. So how important is immunity in a Slayer event? Honestly, less than you imagine. Okay, in Slayer anyways. However, this deck does have some use, I think, in Slayer events, although with a 4-turn cooldown and the fact that it's a trap deck, it's only gonna, I think, if you have the full deck, it might help you for a couple of ways. I don't see it actually being that great. So anyways, my personal opinion, not really sure if this is something that I am going to chase after, but it's completely up to you. I can't really show you the deck here. I have the gems, but I refuse to spend it on this one. So that's unfortunate. Okay, but what are the cards I will use? Let's talk about that. And what should we look forward to? So we know that in Slayer events, right, we have now more chances for you to spawn your own bosses, and we also have these cloak bosses that will spawn based on your bosses that you take out. And so it's going to be more important for us to build a deck that can be faster. So like in the face of a slow deck for a particular event, then let's talk about decks that can be a little faster. So let's see. So David Jensen, you had to buy that one. That's what I remember. I remember it being a card that wasn't available in the deck itself, but it was something that you had to purchase. So let's see. Sony for Slayer's return is slow indeed. And let's see. Panels also didn't have really good luck in your tiers. That's the same with me. And so now here's the thing, right? There's actually a lot of other Arcane killer options here. Okay, and so we have a lot of Arcane Killer type options cards. That's also something we can look into. So the first thing is, let's take a look at Light Slayer decks and see what could go into here. Me personally, like, I would be perfectly fine just using these two decks and I will be set to go. Even though I don't have Arcane Killer, what I could do is this is where I say, okay, fine, use Apocalypse Hellboy for that particular reason, just so that all of my other cards get the 400% damage boost. But the combination of Relentless Scholars and your Yokai deck is going to be more than sufficient, honestly. It's going to be more than sufficient to do a lot of damage, especially with the Hellboy here giving you 400% damage boost. You know, this is one option. I think that this will be probably what I'm going to go with. And it gives me turn 2 damage, gives me turn 1 damage, and it gives me turn 2 possibility. Am I going to get MVPs? Probably not as easily, right? But I can at least compete, I think, with this. And so let's see, Flipper, you got nothing in 3 tiers. Like, for me, like, generally, like, the reasons why I would go to tier 4 is because it's an interesting deck that I actually really like, or if it's a really good deck that you should go after. That's the only time that I would go tier 4, tier 5, etc. I went to tier 5 in the previous deck because I really wanted to you know, check out that that mechanic where, you know, you basically revive and then you have turn delays, and that turned out to be a super strong deck. Okay, this deck, I just can't tell. I just don't know. And so my recommendation is hold off for now. If you have reservations, wait, try and see how your other decks work out at the beginning of the event, see what you pull from your trophies, and then decide. And yes, job inventors, we got our inventories increased. This is a really good change. So I can pull as many times as I want and not worry about running out of space. And so you got 2 support and a relic, and that's actually better than me. I got 1 support and 1 relic, right? So I could, you know, I don't know if I really need to use that, but what we're gonna do after this is I didn't actually check to see what the debuffs are. So we'll take a look at this afterwards. But first thing I want to check out here is I want to remove Slayer here and just change the type to Arcane Killer. So here are all the options we have for Arcane. Okay, now you could choose to use a light commander deck. The thing is, you're going to lose all Slayer bonus, and it's kind of like a toss up here. If you use a light commander deck in a Slayer event, you're losing the times 10, times 13 bonus damage, which can be significant, but you do have the 10 times affinity bonus. And on top of that, you do get the how many times is that? You do get the 900 times damage. And so this right here will make your overall commander deck deal about the same damage as a regular support and event card of the event, because the support card gets 10 times Slayer boost and it gets 10 times affinity bonus. With this card in play, you get 900 times killer bonus and 10 times affinity damage. And so you're slightly off, but you're going to have, you know, more you're going to have more power gem creations and whatnot. However, I think that is still going to be slightly worse off than using the Hellboy Slayer deck to boost your other cards. So only use this, I think, in situation where you don't have any other options. Compared to that, you could also consider using, like, here's an option where you could potentially use the Circuit Break Hilaria to sort of, you know, to sort of basically give you the additional damage boost, right? So if you use this along with the Fire Slayer deck, right? So you got Fire Slayer deck that is also Arcane, then you could also offset the fact that you don't have the 10 times affinity boost. So you can get 900 times plus the 4 times, 4 times for, or actually 6 times for Slayer, and 900 times there. So like it's always going to be a little bit worse, obviously, than using the event card. But this fire deck gives you the ability to use Circuit Breaker Hilaria, which gives you basically an additional 5,000%, 50 times damage. And so I would seriously consider using this, to be honest with you. Like this doesn't seem like a bad choice, honestly, because this also can be a good turn 2 deck. You just have to do this, and then I think at least one Hilaria would be good, and then this will boost all Slayers, and so you could do this. You could add some other cards in there that are arcane, arcane boost, but I don't know if you want to go off like cross affinity in this case. It might be better to simply just go ahead and use up all of your Slayer deck here. So this deck I think has viability as well in this particular event, and you can use any of the arcane relics here to give you damage boost. So this is another option. Okay, so because they're sort of heavily focusing on arcane killer types across the board, we get the benefit of reusing cards from the past. It's just that you can't really do cross affinity as easily, whereas going Slayer versus Commander is a little bit easier to deal with. So let's take a look at the debuffs here. So I think I saw Tamara saying that it's Toxin and Thorns. And so both of those, Thorns is actually not a debuff. Thorn is actually not a debuff, I don't believe. I think it's actually a buff for the boss. And let's take a look at the cards to be sure. So the ultimate form will actually dispel Toxin. So Toxin will be bad for cards that heal. I don't see any cards that heal here, and so that is going to be, so you're safe there. And then we got the Thorn here from the Ultra Rare card. The Master Collection card. And then the Ultra Rare card I would expect to also be Toxin. And then let's take a look at the support card and the event cards here. So let's take a look here. We're going to go into Vault Content. So the event card dispels Thorns. It looks like it's just a 2, unless the support card dispels something different. Yeah, so it's just Thorns and just Thorns and Toxin to deal with. Now, Thorns. Yeah, so Thorn is a buff. So you can see here, right? Thorn is a buff, so the boss will cast it on itself. So every time you attack it, you get attacked back. And so all of this, skills that removes all debuffs and stuff will do nothing. Will do nothing to the Thorns. And so you do have to get something that can dispel it, because it can actually be quite a bit of an annoyance. Because Thorns cannot kill you, though. Thorns will get your health all the way down to the very, very, very minuscule. It will never kill you, but it gets you low enough so that you can die in the next hit. So the deck that I've set up so far, if you take a look at cards that are arcane killer, that's fine. Let's actually say what can actually dispel Thorns. There's only 15 cards here, and so far the support card is the one that I probably have to find a way to throw in there, because on turn 3 it's going to be necessary, but if you're building a turn 2 deck, then you don't need it. If you're building a turn 2 deck, you're not going to get hit. You're not going to see the Thorns being cast. So this deck right here is a turn 2 deck, and you should be okay. And Yari44, it's me, Granny. We actually competed in the same league the other event, and you did really, really well. I believe you're now in Legends, right? So congratulations there. So David Chisholm, the last arcane deck was a 2-turn deck for you. Yeah, so I think you can still use that. I think the commander deck is, I think, valid. Is a useful deck. This is another one that can be used, but if you're gonna use a regular Gen 3 deck, then you definitely want to throw in a ultimate form from the past, and that in this case is going to be Apocalypse Hellboy. But don't expect it to be able to deal as much damage as using event deck, of course, but I think it's going to be sufficient for me. Okay. So let's see, Jabir, you've actually got the ultimate form in 3 tiers, so congratulations. That's the kind of luck that I haven't seen in a while now. Actually, all season it's been like this, and so I don't want to spend more gems. I just want to save them up and see if the next event is going to be good, and then I'll focus on that. It's sort of interesting now that the deck investments now have sort of shifted to more towards commanders rather than slayers. For me, I think just being able to being smart about my key usage in slayers and being smart about what I tag will ensure me some success here. So just being happy in the Emperor's League. And I think there are probably other news feeds I want to take a look at. So let's just make sure we haven't missed anything that's important for this upcoming event. As me myself in the 1100, that is exactly what I'm doing right now. Okay, so the first thing is expanded inventory. So we just saw that. So if you were previously maxed, you should be at 4,000 now. 3,985 or something, somewhere close, but not quite 4,000. And you can fill your pots of gold. Okay, so we saw some ad here that sort of said like, hey, fill the pot of gold and you get some additional bonuses. I think one of the things is we get like, updated legends, and I think we get like updated cudgels and one more for like trials. So let's see. So basically, anytime we defeat lucky bosses, we will fill the pot of gold. So there's no purchases necessary. And I think this is a global meter. We've done this in the past. Global meters are like across the board. If you participate, you're going to help out the entire community fill up this pot of gold. And if you can fill it fully, then we're going to get the full benefit. It happens. Usually by the 3rd day, we will have that. So then we get these lucky bosses. So it's another new type of boss. It's a guild boss that anybody can summon by spending gold. So this is how you can use this is how we can use our inventory. So I have 400 million gold that we can use, and basically spend gold, summon a boss. Everybody go ahead and spend your gold to get these bosses, because that's going to help us fill up the pot of gold, and they will give us doubloons. Doubloons. Oh my gosh, I haven't used the word doubloon in a very long time. So we can use doubloons, basically defeat bosses, get the doubloons, fill up the global meter. Then we can get so Gen 2 legends get buffed, not Gen 1. I don't know if it's still going to be any good. I don't know, but at least they're doing something to Gen 2 legends. And then we're going to get more pink stars on our cudgels, so make our defenders stronger. And then we're going to have new Corellian bosses, which are going to be stronger than the gold bosses. Don't know what kind of things that we're going to get from it, though. What kind of drops it's going to be. And then we can summon up to 3 bosses per in-game day. So in a guild of 30, that's basically 90 bosses. Okay, and we can summon a 4th lucky boss for the day if you're a VIP. Okay, so in a guild of VIP, that's basically 4 times 30. You can get 120 bosses in a single day. And so the only thing is, like, this is really just helping with, it's really just helping our global meter anyway. So just go ahead and use it up. It's not really going to be any bad thing, I don't think. All right, so here they do talk about the Corellian legend bosses. So the Corellian Legend trial bosses are unlocked. You're going to need all the help you can get from Gen 2 Legends, because they're going to carry a Tear Aegis, so that the new damage, recovery, and health buffs that the Generation 2 Legends will provide will help take them down. Okay, I dislike this already. Tear Aegis basically makes it so that you can't use your battle skill. It basically makes it so that your battle skill just drops. So you're going to have to rely on things like passive abilities. And given the fact that it's going to be a legend trial boss, that means it's going to be probably somewhere in the realm of 10 to 100 trillion. You can't be a trillion, because that's what the gold trial bosses are. So this is going to be, I don't want to be too negative, but it doesn't seem like a fun way to play the boss if you're going to need a Generation 2 legend. I'll keep my my judgment reserved for now, but I'm not really sure I like this at this point. Cudgel expansion for Guild vs. Guilds. Our cudgels are going to get pink stars, so that means our attackers will have a harder time against our defenders, because defenders use the cudgels. However, I don't know what being 2-star actually means, because we already get smacked around anyway with our full set. And you can upgrade it to 3 stars, but the thing is, I don't know. The only way to get the Ascended Ingots for our 3-star cudgels is going to be getting the Corellian bosses. Now, I think what will happen is if we unlock the Cudgel expansion, then we already upgraded to 2 stars. So this is going to be a benefit to everyone. So it's in our best interest to fill a pot of gold there. And then we're going to have to go to Corellian bosses to get the materials, which is a very good reminder of back in the day of all of us trying to get our cores for the gold trial bosses. And for some people, it takes 6 to 8 months to get sufficient cores. So expect the same, expect more of the same for this. That's my expectation. Like it's going to be ridiculous. Like no one's going to be able to get this anytime soon. And so Corellian bosses use Gen 2 legends, which none of us really have. And so yay. not exactly excited about that one because they haven't made it that much easier to get our Gen 2 legends upgraded anyway. I've been playing for over 3 years and I don't have a 6-star Gen 2 legend. Not even a combined one. I don't even have a 4-star combined one. I don't even have a 6-star non-combined Gen 2 legend. And I've been playing for 3 years. And so that just kind of goes to show just how terribly delayed these Gen 2 legend cards are getting the love they need. And we desperately need a better way to upgrade them. Until we get that, I'm not really going to bother with it because I'm not going to spend the resources to get the Gen 2 just for the Corellis bosses. It's not worth it. Okay. So Yari, is the red arcane better than light? Honestly, I think your red arcane might be competitive because of all the damage boost that you can get. You're losing 10 times bonus on the affinity bonus, but I don't know if it's going to be that big of a deal. So give it a try. If you already have that deck, give it a shot. That's what I would say. So Catherine McIntyre, if you buy the lucky boss, yeah, you can buy with gold, not with gems. So you can buy with gold. So like we should all have a bunch of gold spent. So I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. Panels. It feels to you that the previous Gen 3 vaults, the pull rate was higher than nowadays. What I think? Well, if my sample size of 4 events has anything to say, I would tell you that the drop rates really suck for me. But I've also seen a lot of people getting a full deck by tier 3, etc. So it's really random. It's just that my season has been terrible. I have had a terrible season of pulls, and so I just kind of have to write it out. Okay, but this is not the event I think you should go all out in. I think that reserve your gems, reserve your coins, and wait for the fire event because I think that might be a little bit better, personally. Okay, so Raymond, you got the MC. Is it worth spending the coins for the ultra rare to make the ultimate form? So you're in the situation where you always have to make the decision. My general advice to you is if you have the coins to make an ultimate form, you could choose to. So like you could choose to make it right now because it's always better to have an ultimate form than not. But if you have the ability to create a previous ultimate form, I would say the first 2 events are probably not as great, whereas the last one seemed to be good. Okay, it seemed fun, and it's something you can use in the next upcoming community event. However, the longer you wait within the event, so like if you have the coins and you don't do it right now, I would say when the event starts, take a look to see how well you're able to do in the event. If with the cards you have, you can do okay, then I would say save it. But if you're basically, struggling and you're basically like having a hard time, getting any points and you're going to drop out of the league, then why not, right? Like get yourself the ultimate. Get yourself a no, absolutely that you want this team, you absolutely want this ultimate form, then just wait. You can at least wait until the event starts to make a decision. But if you kind of know you don't want to, then just write it out. All right. You have to be okay with writing it out with a non-event team like I am. And that's going to make your decision a little bit easier. But if you can't, if you can't compete at all with any of the cards that you have nothing to go by, then why not? Having an ultimate form is better than not having one. That is always going to be the case. Okay. So Reaper, you don't have Hellboy. You can craft the Curators of Pain. They don't with your TPG coin, but it's one of the worst ultimate forms as well. The Curators of Pain. There are better uses of your TPG coin, to be honest with you, but again, I leave that up to you. It's one that I don't highly recommend. Like I had the option to do so, but I chose not to. So I would just take a look and see what other options you have. Like, you know, go light, go non-light, but with Arcane, just use something from the past events just to see if you can compete. We have some really good decks that can be really good. I would highly recommend trying that, because your other options here of going with the Curators of Pain or forging the Hellboy, you're basically using your coins for, you know, for something that you may not want to use. However, here's my thoughts. Okay, having said all that, there's only one more event remaining. Only one more event remaining before the store gets reset. Once the store gets reset, then you won't be able to use it anyway. And so let's take a look at the Proving Ground stores now and see what you should consider. Okay, so if you look at the Proving Grounds right now, note that this is going to be the second last event for you to be able to use these coins anyway. I haven't used it yet because I haven't really decided what I want to do, but the one that's going to be after this event is going to be this deck right here that gives you the polarity. Not a great team. This wasn't a great team to use either, but I have one more coin left to use, and I might actually use it because I have two of these cards. I have two of the Princess cards here, so I have two ultra rares, and I might just choose to go with one so I can forge an ultimate form anyway. However, some of the other cards I would say is you should save your Proving Grounds coins for a Bio Blitzer deck. That's my recommendation to you. So you should just go with that. Okay, and so if you don't have Hellboy, like I mentioned, there are other choices to go with. And what I would go with is, you know, look for your Arcane bonuses and look for your other cards here. So like, it's always going to be the same thing, but these are what you can try out. Okay, and so this is going to be it for me for this particular preview. I think that not a deck that I would highly recommend investing in, but I would say go for other decks if you can, and don't be in a rush to spend all of your gems before the event starts. Wait until the event starts, see how you do, then make a decision. Okay, that'll be my recommendation here. And so hopefully, if you do decide to pull a few tiers here, I would say, you know, good luck on it. I hope that you get something good. But if you don't, then you can always wait until the next wait until the event starts. Take a look and see your other decks and see how it works. And I will have a deck option later on for other, you know, I will be trying out these different decks. I will give you an assessment on how they work, and we can use that as an idea afterwards. Okay, so that's going to be it from me for today. Thank you very much for joining me for this preview. So hopefully you guys will have a fun time this event. Happy St. Patrick's Day again. Take care, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye guys.